Hi everybody, I'm really excited to show you my finished garden journal, my illustrated journal. I've wanted to do this for years, and this year, living here with the garden, I've finally been able to do it. These are the tools I use, the Isabe brush, a thinner brush, and the Unipin pens. These are waterproof pens and fade proof. I use a variety of sizes, 3, 6, 2, 7, 4. And watercolor paint. These are my watercolor paints on my new tray, which I love. And I don't really use pencil very much, so not pencil. This is a Hahnemühle watercolor sketchbook, which I also love. Started on May 28th. I just think it's important to know the date of things. I'm just that kind of person. So I'm going to just go through the journal as if you were here in my studio hanging out with me, and I'm showing you the sketchbook, pointing out whatever I want to point out. So, Journal du Jardin, that's French. I thought it might be fun to use some French words. I think that lasted about 2 minutes. This is the tomato cages that we put up, and it's kind of cool if you see them. Well, now they're kind of losing their oomph, but last week they're just like, they grow into this huge jungle. So from this tiny little sprout, and this whole thing gets covered. I love playing with wash and just throwing color down, sitting in my garden or studio. I'm about to sneeze. Achoo! Okay, sorry about that. So one of the things I'm doing in this journal is really doing washes in the background and trying to tell short little stories, just little word sketches here, not writing a big long thing, just interspersing the image with text. And what I would do is I would just go sit out in the garden, usually early morning, and draw when it was cool, and then come back later inside and paint. We have this huge patch of a lettuce mix that we plant in September, and then in April it's there as this massive garden of lettuce, and it feels like such a gift to be out there picking it every day and enjoying it, and the colors. I mean, I tried to capture it here in kind of an abstract, because it is just like this big lettuce tangle. And then we bought a barrel because I wanted planters, and Steve cut it in half and put dirt in it. And then I filled it with some things, and it's fun to see these now because now at the end of the season they're just huge. These are not very well depicted, but I don't worry about it. You know, whether this is good or not, it's not really about that. This completely captures the excitement of getting a barrel planter. And then sometimes I just hate to waste the paint that's on the brush, so I will make lines like this to make a background. Actually, I think this is like to depict the fence, so it is using the same colors. I thought it would be cool to make a list of what we're growing, and it's quite extensive. It's a lot. There are a ton of things that we grew, and I should go back and like mark little X's or asterisks next to the things that grew really well. Most of them did. The Iceland poppies, I think one came out. So here I get to play with lettering and also doing a background. The onions were not so successful in the garden. I think this is, what is this? Chives? No. Chard? No, I don't think we grew chard. See, I need to put, this one's broccoli. I need to write down what these things are. The chives were just so pretty. They're little chive flowers, which were just so great. I wanted to just put washi tape in the journal. Just this kind of reminds me of some kind of old-fashioned tablecloth or label or fence, and then again, just doing washes. It just helps to make the page more interesting. I also made page numbers with cute little borders around the page numbers, and I did that as I went along. The garden isn't just plants. These are my shears, my scissors that I bring out there. I just love them. I use them all the time. I'm out there snipping flowers and herbs and even tomatoes. So it was fun. I think I traced them and then drew them in. The zucchini squash, really abundant, starting with a small plant, and then they just get so big. And I tell the story that it turns out it's impotent, but it actually wasn't. I cut it back, so we axed it, and it came back and then produced. So it was weird. It was a strange. I'm learning so much about gardening from doing this, and then just having fun depicting it, bringing two of my loves together. Trying to come up with ideas that are just a little different than here's this and here's that. So the flowers and the leaves, because the leaves are as interesting as the flowers. And it was just like, I also looked up things like the pansy. Is that really a pansy? Or Johnny Jump Up? And then I discover it's also called Heart's Ease. And then I think, well, when did the pansy become associated with weakness? Like, oh, he's a pansy. I think, who knows? I think it's kind of interesting. When you get into the leaves, you just start to notice the shapes of things are just really interesting and intricate and wild. So I really have to blow my nose. Can I do that? Can I take the mic away and blow my nose? Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. My goodness. But when I sneeze, I just have to blow my nose, and it's much better to just do it than to try to talk through it because we have lots to go. Oh, the potato leaves were just so abundant and crazy, and then the thyme, and it was fun to just kind of depict the thyme. I can't draw all those tiny little leaves, so I did the spatter technique, which is when you take the brush and you have some paint on it, and then you go like this. You put a finger out and you tap the brush against that. Drawing the little thyme bottle. Just playing with lettering and space on the page. I really didn't plan this out or think about it too much. I just did it as I went along. Not every single day, but this was kind of every single day. Toward the end of the summer, I wasn't doing it daily. This is the herbs page. I got some new herbs, some of the things that I haven't had before. My friend gave me this cannellini bean, which was kind of fun and was beautiful. It grew really well. The radishes had so much greenery, and then I think I got like 2 or 3 radishes, and the rest of them were really tiny. I'm not a huge radish fan, so I probably won't grow those again. The broccoli turned out great. Lots of tiny, and broccoli's my favorite vegetable. So I wrote a little story. I did a wash here and then wrote a little story about broccoli being my favorite vegetable. Cosmos, kind of embedding the flower in the word like that was fun. Basil, those are the radishes. Basil, chard. I guess the chard turned out great this year as opposed to other years. So I pulled up a lot of parsley plants because I just kind of let them go and then they went to seed. And then I pulled up the parsley root and it was just this amazing thing. And I know one of my favorite brands, Aesop hair and skincare stuff, they use parsley root and parsley seed. And I just thought, wow, this is like really expensive stuff to Aesop. The tomato leaves are really expressive. And there were flowers on the potato plants that were really pretty and delicate. So just kind of an interesting studying what's above ground and what's below ground. The potato is just like this humble thing, and yet the thing on top is so elegant and beautiful. Borage, the star flower, these also grew really big, and the star flower, I cut those, snipped those, and put them in ice cubes. So many of these calendula plants everywhere, they're volunteers. They are just crazy. They just go crazy. Lots of greenery, lots of little flowers, and then I did pull the dried petals, and I saved those. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. The cucumbers were a real fail. We got, I think, like a few, maybe 4 or 5, but look at the word. This is the type of cucumber. Vorgeburg-Strauben. Vorgeburg-Strauben. I mean, I just have fun saying that. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's German. It's cool. But what's fun about this page is all the different greens. There were lots of peppers, and the nasturtium petals or the nasturtium leaves were so, so beautiful. I just loved playing with depicting them. More flowers, mint, lots of mint. So I mentioned that the green onions weren't that great, but we got a few, and I thought it would be just cool to just do one across the page. You can look at it either way, and then there's kind of a cloud scape at the top, more washi tape. I bought these cute little green glasses from Morocco, and they're really great for flowers. Some sunflowers, and those are fun to paint. What they look like at the end is totally different when the petals are gone and you just have these, the flower bracts and the seed. The zinnias were just everywhere. I grew a lot of little ones. This was from the 100-day project, so I tipped it in with some washi tape. More basil, and there was a lot of arugula, and I'm really glad that I stopped to capture the arugula flowers because they're really elegant and pretty as well. Just playing with trying to capture the cosmos, which was fun. So I started adding background, more like coloring in the background. What I would do is I would draw and paint this thing and then come in and fill the background in around it. And I think it makes a more complete page. So some zucchini, tomato, cucumber. This was where I feel like I really got a sense of the cosmos and kind of the variegation and the colors. And these are the star flowers. I like how this one came out. It's really pretty. There are tons of marigolds, and they're still out there, and I just love them. So I just go sit out there and draw the things that are right in front of me, the calendula, the marigolds, lots of peppers, and they're so great, really great flavor, and not super spicy, which is awesome. The tomatoes are just so abundant, and we have 2 different kinds of paste tomatoes, which we use for sauces and roasted tomato. I love this chili plant because this was happening at once, this yellow, red, green, and orange, all in one moment. Making a little border here, like this is a little label. The cabbage plant was great. This painting of it, not so much, but I really love how I captured the cabbage once I brought it in. I got the blue and the purple and how it's like this kind of mystical color. So I love how that one turned out. More broccoli. The morning glories, they're kind of a weed. They really take over, but they're so darn pretty. And then making a little kind of a stamp description there. Oh, the nasturtiums were so pretty. I didn't really eat very many of them, but I loved painting them. And it's fun to just see the colors that are in the garden. This celosia is a funky flower. It's kind of like a flame, and one of them was like in this funky shape. This volunteer butternut squash, it turned out. This was growing over in the compost, and it was pretty small. I picked it up and picked it, and listening to my favorite podcast, one of them, Home Cooking, and she talks about that when you pick a squash, you have to let it cure and let it sit there for a while before it's ready to eat. I didn't know that, and I happened to be listening to it right after I picked this. These little orange cosmos were the delight of the summer. They were so pretty. They were in a seed mix, so I didn't really know what I was getting. It snowed on September 8th. Oh, we covered up the garden in plastic and clothespins, and everything pretty much survived. We went away for one day and came home, and the squirrels had like torn down one of the sunflowers and just like eaten it. And it wasn't one of those big ones with seeds. It was a smaller, more decorative type. And I was like, you little pooper. Shouldn't have done that. I love this spread. I don't know if it's the purple and the yellow together or the way the purple goes along this kind of curve. My friend Marty looked at my sketchbook the other day, and he said, you look so happy. And I was so happy when we harvested these potatoes. And I even love how they look how I painted them. And all of the leaves above and the potatoes below. And again, the love I feel for the nasturtiums. I'm not really concerned about how well I depicted it. I love how things bled through. I just love, like, this does capture my love for them. And then I'm just this was, I guess, a couple weeks ago, like, I have to finish this notebook. So we got 1 snapdragon, two flowers from it. There are still a bunch out there. Who knows if they'll produce. I just played with some rubber stamps and also a border. And then this little pot is this beautiful little vase that my sister bought me, and more cosmos because they're just so prolific. I mean, I just picked these just now. Look, it's the same color almost as my sleeve. There you go. I wasn't really happy with these two spreads. It was just the flowers, so just today I painted in a background and wrote some things on it, put a border, wrote the word of the dahlia. I might go and embellish a little bit more, but they look way better than they did without all the embellishment. Here's the final page. I just was like, what should I put on the final page? We harvested some potatoes the other day, and these are things that I just harvested today. Some more tomatoes, basil, peppers. So it felt right to finish it with a harvest, and then just the feelings that I feel in this whole garden and in the journal: abundance, grateful, wonder, growth. So I stamped those words in. I did a wash first, then stamped the words in, and then wrote a little bit of a story. This is the umbrella that I bought. I didn't spend as much time out there as I wanted, but there you have it. I also made a little bit of embellishment on the front with this beautiful paper and some washi tape. That's it, friends. I love it. I hope you do too. Let me know what comes up for you when you look at this. What does this bring up for you? For me, I'd just say that this is probably going to be one of my favorite notebooks ever because it really depicts this moment in time and how the garden brought me total joy in the summer of 2020. So thanks for watching and going through this sketchbook tour with me.